My name's Verk, and welcome to Tales from My Table. In this episode, I want to talk about something that, as a DM, can be really interesting and unique and powerful, but to a player can sometimes seem unfun, and that is resistances. So resistances in D&D 5 mean you take half damage to whatever you're resistant to. For instance, if you're attacking, say, a Banshee, Banshees are resistant to all forms of physical damage that isn't magical. So if I hit him with my Warhammer that is non-magical, and I do 10 damage to that Banshee, it's only going to take 5. Now, that can be a really interesting way to change up a combat, right? Because when combat gets stale is when it's like, I hit the monster, I do the damage, we move on to the next thing. When combat's interesting, it's like, it's like a game, right? Like, you have to see, oh, well, I'm doing more damage this time, or that time I'm doing less damage, or whatever the situation is, as a way of thinking, how am I going to get around this problem? Combat. So, in a game I recently ran, I had a character that got super upset with the resistances that were happening. The fact that he didn't feel like he had any way to do damage to this character, or he didn't feel like he had any way of being useful in this situation. Why is that, right? Like, what is that problem? People understand when you play a game if you don't do a lot of damage, like, oh, okay, I have other options or whatever. Or maybe they're like, oh, I can switch weapons or something like that. But this player felt like he literally didn't have anything he could do. And that sucks. And it's one of those things where I don't think I realized what was happening. I didn't realize that he was getting so frustrated because to me, I was like, use a different spell then. Try something different. But he didn't feel that way. Maybe because his spells that he had weren't effective, and maybe I thought he had a spell he didn't, or whatever the situation was. He felt like I was personally taking an attack on him. What's the real issue here? Why was he feeling so bad? So I thought a lot about it, and I think what it comes down to is that he didn't feel effective. And if you don't feel effective, maybe you don't have as much fun. It's hard because as a DM, right, like, we're not effective a lot. It's kind of part of the deal. We create characters, NPCs, monsters, whatever we do. And we know Bob the Goblin, is going to die a brutal, violent death. Painfully. But we're okay with that because we know that's what his job is. His job is to die. Maybe to take away some resources, maybe to do some damage, whatever it is, but really, he's supposed to die. Him being effective is dying. A player, it's different. A player is effective when he kills something, when he helps a situation, when he... Yeah. When is a player effective? When are they happy? When is the game good for them? I don't know. I feel like there's no winning in D&D, right? We don't play D&D to always win. We play in D&D for the experience and the stories. And sometimes failure is cool. Like, it works and it's interesting and it's a story that you can tell. You know, you're running down the platform, you jump and you slide, and you roll a 1, and you slip off and you're holding by your hands, and then your buddy runs up and saves you. Like, that's a cool story that wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have failed the roll. So failure can be cool, and it cannot feel bad. But clearly resistances do. I think what I could have done better is I could have paid better attention to everyone's character sheets. And I could have made sure that everyone had something that was effective against my monster. But is that right? Does that make sense? Do I want to make it to where they're always going to be effective against the monster? They just have to pick the right thing? Maybe? Or do I want it to be like, well, you should have diversified better? But that seems like a jerk move too, right? I don't know what the answer is here. Because people want to be effective. Combat, I want to be interesting. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I want combat to be interesting, and it's just not. I need to move on. Maybe I just need to understand that combat is something that should happen and be dry and move through. Or maybe there should be even less combat in my games. I already run a really combat-light game. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe me running a combat-light game is the issue. Maybe because they can only have combat maybe once a session, maybe they feel like that's the bigger problem. I don't know. What do you guys do? What do you do for resistances in your games? Do you make it to where there's always going to be something that the characters are going to be okay at? Or do you pick a random encounter and let the dice roll where they are? Do your players get frustrated? Does it upset them? I don't know. Tell me what you guys know. I guess that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for watching. Please comment down below about how you deal with this situation, what your resistances are, what you like and don't like about them. Let's have an open conversation. Talk about it. Also down below, you'll find links to my Twitch channel. I try to stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 a.m. We usually play NetHack or some other RPG, but would love for you to come join there. Anyway, like I said, my name's Burke. Thanks for watching.